All right, so let's start with the big story that we are tracking on WION at this hour. The Houthis have been relentless. The Yemen-based rebels claim to have mounted at least about 6 attacks on ships linked to the United States, Israel and the United Kingdom in just the last 72 hours in the Gulf of Aden and the Red Sea. The United States claims that it has managed to counter the missiles with its own missiles. And our next report tells you as to how the United States has been drawn into and is fighting what seems to be a never-ending war, with the Pentagon spending millions of dollars to try and deflect the relatively cheaper Houthi drones that are being fired. Take a look.
The vital shipping lanes of the Red Sea have become an unlikely battleground in the conflict between the US Navy and Yemen's Houthi rebel forces. The Iranian-backed Houthi militants are deploying swarms of low-cost commercial drones to target not just commercial vehicles, but even US warships, which have no choice but to counter these threats with extremely expensive missile defense systems. The US vows to counter the Houthi menace.
The United States will continue to hold the Houthis accountable for their attacks, which have not just disrupted international commerce, not just disrupted the freedom of navigation in international waters.
Estimates suggest the basic drones utilized by the Houthis cost a mere $1,000 to $2,000 each. In stark contrast, the US Navy's Standard Missile 2S and Standard Missile 6S used for air defense run a staggering $2.1 million and $4.9 million per unit, respectively. With the Houthis unleashing relentless drone waves, the US is forced to burn through its costly missile inventory at an alarming rate. The Houthis, on the other hand, aren't deterred by American airstrikes.
The Yemeni armed forces carried out 6 military operations during the past 72 hours, using a large number of ballistic missiles and drones. As follows, the naval forces and the missile force carried out 4 joint operations on 4 ships, including the American ship Mas Saratoga in the Gulf of Aden.
Experts point out that the US, despite deploying its aircraft carriers in the Red Sea, have failed to secure the Red Sea. This has disrupted global trade and supply chains, particularly affecting routes through the Suez Canal, which handles about 30% of the global container trade. Cargo ships are forced to take long, expensive detours around the Cape of Good Hope. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
All right, now to give us more perspective on this, we're being joined by Mr. John Irath, who is a Senior Policy Director for the Center for Arms Control and Non-Proliferation. Mr. Irath is, of course, joining us live from Washington. Now, Mr. Irath, looking at what is, of course, happening at this moment in the Red Sea corridor, the Houthis have continued firing missiles and drones, and these are being deflected, by and large, by the Americans who've stationed their ships there. But the question that I want to ask you is, in this war of attrition, is the United States winning this battle, or is it actually ending up losing a lot of its own resources by deflecting these cheap drones by missiles that are worth millions of dollars?
I think that we don't know the whole story of what's going on. In many cases, the smaller, cheaper, slow-moving drones are being shot down with machine guns and other projectiles from the ships and from aircraft. There have been reports of helicopters and jet aircraft taking down some of these drones. So it's not exclusively a case of using the standard missiles to take down what's coming in. From what I can see, the missiles are being used against higher value, higher threat targets, such as ballistic missiles. But all of this misses the central question, which is, what is the supply to the Houthis? And it's clear that many of these things are coming from Iran. And so what is happening is that the Houthis are becoming a tool for Iranian policy. And that's the question that has to be, what is Iran's interest in disrupting global?
Right, now what is happening in the Red Sea corridor is directly linked to what is happening in the Gaza Strip. The Houthis have said that they are targeting Israeli, American and British ships in solidarity with the Palestinians. Now, the Americans say that they do not want to be a part of this war, but looking at what is happening in the Red Sea corridor, the Americans are now clearly involved in this conflict, are they not?
The targeting of ships is merely an excuse. It's not just American and Israeli ships that are being targeted, but shipping from all nations. I saw a report this morning that a Chinese ship has been hit. Russian tankers that are evading sanctions against Russia have been hit as well. So this is really affecting global shipping. The regional feeling against Israel is merely an excuse to put some kind of justification on a terror campaign.
Right. Now, there is a UNSC resolution that wants an immediate ceasefire. The Americans chose not to veto that resolution in the UNSC. Do you see this conflict in the Gaza Strip coming to an end anytime soon?
I certainly hope that it will come to an end relatively soon for the sake of the people who are trapped there, who are the ones who are suffering from the continued conflict. The UNSC resolution was certainly a step in the right direction, but it does not look like either Israel or Hamas is all that interested in stopping the conflict until they achieve their goals.
All right, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Irath, for joining us and getting us that perspective there. For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.